welcome to Art 1. So, my name is Ms. Cervantes. I am one of the art teachers at Victoria West High School, VWHS Art. That is our YouTube. You're on it, probably. Art 1 class is your most basic art class that you can take. It is one of those graduation requirements. You need one fine art credit. It doesn't have to be art, but it, could be. And a lot of kids prefer drawing stuff to performing on a stage. So, welcome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about syllabus. It's the first day, first week, somewhere in there that you should be watching this video. And this is a black and white version of our little syllabus. We also have this for download on our Schoology. We will also have this for download, hopefully in the information section of this video. But if not, then you should have a paper copy if you're one of our kiddos. All right, so on this syllabus, you're gonna see up at the top, your teacher's name, their room number, their email, their phone number for the school, as well as their particular extension. So use that as necessary. The important sections of this syllabus are the grading section right here, including the late policy and your required materials. Those are the major ones. So that's what we're gonna go over in this little video right here. So hopefully you and any one of your Art 1 classes that you're a part of will be able to see it and get it and do all the things. So let's talk about grading first. You can see that there are 3 sections of grades. The big one, this 50% right here, that's projects. We're a projects-based course. Basically what that means is you're going to be doing a project and then another project and then another project and then another project ad nauseum until the end of the year. This is entirely based on production. You're gonna make and make and make and make with the occasional break to quiz or learn a new thing. But it's a lot of making stuff, all right? Second section over here is quizzes. This 30% section, that's gonna be quizzes. You'll have about 1 quiz for every project or so. It's not exact, but quizzes are gonna be mostly vocabulary based. In Art 1, you have a massive number of words to learn, and quizzing is one of the ways that we know that you know them. All of these are, in fact, Art 1 words. They're not Art 2, they're not Art 3, they're not AP. That's Art 1. A lot of words, a lot of techniques, a lot of stuff, materials, etc. Last section for grading is daily work. That's this 20%. That's that smallest portion of the pie. That's going to be things like your warm-ups, worksheets, small tasks, anything that's really little. That's going to be part of those daily work grades. Not every single daily work thing is going to be an individual grade. For example, I in particular grade all of my warm-ups and exit tickety things as 1 grade at the end of a week. Some will be more individual, like if it's a worksheet or something like that. Daily work is only 20% of your grade. If you choose to ignore it, it will not fail you. But if you make 100 on absolutely everything else, all of your quizzes, all of your projects, you make a perfect 100 and you do none of your daily work, your grade will be an 80. Lame. All right, so late policy. Our late policy is pretty simple. It goes in spans of weeks. If you are 1 week late, anytime from day 1 to day 7, after it is due, you turn in your project, your whatever it happens to be, it's 10 points off. So if you were gonna make a 90, you're suddenly making an 80. If you turn in a piece of artwork worth a 70, just barely doing what you need to do, you're gonna have a 60. Not very great. If you turn it in anywhere in the second week, anywhere from 8 days to 14 days late, that's gonna be 20 points off. So if you were gonna have a 90, now you're gonna have, what was it, 70? Not great. If it is anything past 14 days, minus 30 points. You could make 100 and it would go down to a 70. If you're making a 70, you're down to a 40. Not very good. Try and get your stuff in on time. Most of the time, if you talk to your teacher and let them know what's going on, we'll give you a little bit of leeway. So keep up those lines of communications as we as adults have to do, and you'll be all right. All right, last thing that we have on this late policy has to do with the end of the 9 weeks. At the end of every 9 weeks, gradebook closes. Like, I can't put stuff in. If you try and turn it in after gradebook closes, I can't take it. I can take something from the first week of school right up until that end of that 9 weeks. And then at that point, I can't take it anymore, guys. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. So yeah, be aware that that end of the 9 weeks really does have a hard limit there. There's no 2 weeks late or 1 week late. It's just done. All right, so let's look at supplies. Now I have a small smattering of things. Now there's only one thing that you really absolutely need to have. The rest of it is nice to have, but there's one thing in particular that you need, all right? And that is a sketchbook. Now, over here, our preferred type of sketchbook looks something like this. Note that it says mixed media. That means that the paper is going to be a nice quality paper that's not going to fall apart on you. Note that there is a spiral bound edge. It is not held together with glue. And you might choose to get this size, or you might choose to get one that's a little bit closer to a regular piece of paper. Either of those is fine. What I have found about ones about this size though, is that you run into the problem that I had with this particular school year. I ran out of space in this one and had to get a new one. That's my only concern with the small ones. Usually the big ones don't do that. But we use this for warm-ups, sometimes notes and sketches, etc., so on and so forth, and we use a lot of it. So be aware. Now, this is one that we have, but there are other types that you can get as well. Woof. So here's another one that I have that is more close to the size of a regular piece of paper. This one is a nice drawing sketchbook. The papers in it aren't particularly flimsy, which is nice, and it does have that nice spiral edge. It is not going to fall apart. If your options are between a sketchbook that is glued together or a composition book, get the composition book. This, unlike the glued together thing, will not come apart. I prefer this to something that is really, really cheap. If your sketchbook is like $5, $8 or less, just get the 50-cent composition book. It'll last you longer. So a composition book works in a pinch. It might have lined pages that are really, really thin, but you can still take all of the notes and do all the do-nows without it falling apart on you. That is the major important thing for us, is we don't want it falling apart, because this will need to last you all year long. And if yours falls apart, it won't. Let's see. Things that are nice to have that you don't necessarily need. We're gonna start with probably the one that most kids want their own of after they try and use ours for a little bit, and that is Prismacolor colored pencils. Not Crayola, not Crazy Art, Prisma. The way that we use colored pencils in this class requires them to blend very nicely. And Crayola's, Crazy Art, Rose Art, all of those, they do not do this. Again, this is just nice to have. I have some here in the classroom that you are able to use, but so does everyone else. Which means whenever you go searching, someone's not gonna have sharpened them. Someone's gonna have broken the lead. Someone's gonna use it down to a nub that is this big, and it's gonna be very difficult to use. So, well, you don't necessarily need this. It is nice to have. Now, do be cautious, because Prismas do have this thing where they will have multiple boxes that look very similar. But I want you to note that this one down here, this says the Botanical Garden Set. They have a couple different sets that lend themselves towards better things. So this one has colors that are more lent for nature. This one has a more general set of colors. This is probably the one you're gonna wanna get, or if you cannot get this one, there's one that has a plastic case that says Prismacolor Scholar. That one's usually a little cheaper, but works just as well as regular Prismas and has a nice basic set of colors. So there is that. Other things that you're gonna wanna get: drawing pencils, eraser, sharpener, maybe even glue and scissors. So let me grab some of these here. When I say a drawing pencil, I mean a pencil that, generally doesn't have an eraser. They usually have these funny numbers down the side, look something like this. You can buy drawing sets that have a whole bunch of these. Most of the time in class, you're just gonna need a regular pencil, but every once in a while,
I like what you're doing. Sorry.
Distraction aside, you can get drawing sets that have lots and lots of these. But you are going to need a shading pencil at some point, and ours tend to get eaten up and chewed out. So we're running low on them a lot of the time. So if you really want to make sure that you can get all of those drawing and shading assignments done nicely, you might want your own. With drawing pencils, you'll want something called a blending stump. This is also called a tortillion. That number right there just tells you what size it is. So this one is a number 2. We will also have number 4s, which are a little skinnier, and sometimes you get really skinny Q-tip sized ones almost. And those ones, I don't know what number they are, but you know, they're pretty common. And you know, sharpener, eraser, all of that stuff. Now, instead of buying all of these individually, you might choose to buy sets of drawing materials, as I was just saying. You can find lots of different kinds and types. For example, here are 2 different ones that would have everything that you need and then some. This one my friend got for me off of Amazon because she was like, you like artsy things, right? And so inside kits like this, you can see a bunch of different drawing pencils. Over here, there are some things that are like charcoal pencils, those blender stumps. There's some sharpeners down here, plenty of erasers, and other bits and bobs that I know how to use, but you might not. So that one has a whole bunch of stuff. Or you might find one like the Prismacolor's drawing set, just like we have the Prismacolor pencils. Prismacolor has a drawing set. And in here, they also have charcoal pencils, various drawing pencils, a very tough kneaded eraser that I need to rub out, sharpener, eraser. This here is for blending stumps and things of that nature. So yeah, you can find lots of different kits that have those materials in them, or you can buy them on your own. But as I said in the end, the thing that you need the most is this guy. This is the one thing I cannot provide to you. If you do get your own materials, my last thing to request is have something to carry them in, just so you don't lose them. They're yours. You'll want to carry them back and forth. It's kind of annoying. You could leave them in the room, but don't trust it. I love my children. I also happen to know that they don't really respect your stuff if you leave it in the room. So that is all the stuff that you're going to need for Art 1 class. Try and get that sketchbook ASAP. Consider all of those grading guidelines that we talked about. And the last thing that you're going to want to know on this syllabus is this little corner right here. This is one free 100. It's a daily grade. And it is basically just a little thing that says, hey, I took this to my parents and I got them to sign it and they looked at it and they know all of the policies. Ha ha. But if you bring back just this little square right here, just cut it out and give it to us, then we can give you a free 100. All right. Whew. It's going to be a good year, guys. Bye.